There is a long street that seems to stretch on forever. It is all the thoroughfares of all the cities and towns of California merged into one. It is Main Street, California. The people who live on the long street are, in the great majority, good citizens, happy and successful in varying degrees, for the most part unaware that from their ranks come many of the street's less fortunate inhabitants. Yet the least of those who fall by the wayside are not forgotten, because of a faith that is always marching on the long street. You live on the long street. You enjoy the many advantages of its facilities, for work and for play, its comfortable neighborhoods. But there are two sides to every street, and not everyone is fortunate enough to stay on its sunny side. The shadowy side of the street engulfs many people with many different kinds of trouble. People with emergencies, suddenly unable to cope with life. People who have lost all hope. You want to help, but you have neither the time nor the facilities. And so, just as a business relies on specialists who are trained to do the job most efficiently, you can depend on an experienced organization that is always seeking a solution to the troubles of the long street, the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army with faith in God and faith in man, always ready to help the man, woman, or child with the faltering step, so that they may find new destinations of self-respect. Of the many problems of the long street, one of the most common is that of alcoholism. American industry suffers from a billion-dollar hangover every year. Annually, drunk arrests and jailings alone cost Los Angeles and San Francisco more than $5 million, with millions of workdays lost to industry. This is a grim world few people want to touch, a social problem that would be even greater were it not for such dedicated groups as the Salvation Army. This continuous effort to reclaim human lives is only one part of the purpose of the Salvation Army. To those who have sunk into a hopeless world, the Salvation Army provides a ray of hope, helping the down-and-outer's physical needs to reach his desire for rehabilitation. Countless members of our society are now productive because the Army never ceases working to restore men and women to useful citizenship. The Salvation Army provides many different kinds of specialized operations to meet the needs of all the communities it serves. The familiar salvage truck is a visible symbol, representing the program of work therapy at the Men's Social Service Center for the assistance and rehabilitation of men with many serious problems. The street is long and its problems can be stark. For the girl in trouble, the unmarried mother, sympathetic understanding and excellent medical care are provided at the Booth Memorial Hospitals, and a sound plan worked out for the future. And wherever the long street reaches into the countryside, special problems occur to the migrant farm worker. Their crop harvesting is vital to California's economy, yet aid for these migrants is extremely limited. Here again, the Salvation Army gives help with hospitality houses for the migrant workers and others who are temporarily unemployed. In a great many areas, the long street engenders problems of its own, potential juvenile delinquency, combated by Red Shield youth centers and similar youth programs. The needs of California's aged are increasing, just as their numbers are growing larger, and constructive help is supplied by Golden Ager Clubs. Disaster can strike anywhere at any time, and when special help is necessary, the Army is geared to get there quickly for on-the-spot assistance. By night as well as day, the Salvation Army is ready in all emergencies, with the ability to follow up in providing for the aftermath, to lessen the personal tragedies that force families to leave their homes. So, the Salvation Army continues its remarkable tradition of serving wherever trouble occurs. But now, this organization, which helps to solve human problems, is itself confronted with a big new problem. For the long street is growing longer. California's growth in population staggers the imagination. The long street has doubled its population every 2 decades. Every month, 50,000 newcomers lengthen the street, with miles and miles of additional dwellings. And as the population increases, as new homes are built and other buildings converted to habitations, the problems of the long street are multiplied. Thus, the Salvation Army finds itself trying to cope with the problems of today's population while using the facilities that were built to serve only half as many people. The Army has attempted to meet the greater demand for its social services, but at a cost that has now become critical. That cost has been the bypassing of vital renovation, replacement, or expansion of its building facilities. The biggest handicap is the lack of space. The limitations imposed by crowded and inadequate buildings. Some of these facilities are makeshift, structurally inadequate, and functionally inefficient. Rebuilding, renovation, is the great need of the Salvation Army to make its overburdened facilities equal to the ever-growing task. And the Army's operating budget is barely enough to keep it going, its available funds totally inadequate for the necessary facilities. To meet this problem, the leaders of the Salvation Army have spent more than 3 years studying their building needs in California. This analysis has been worked over by lay committee members, financial advisors from the business world, resulting in a comprehensive redevelopment plan. The fund for this redevelopment has been reduced to its most essential needs to maintain the basic Salvation Army services. All funds will be expended only to meet the most urgent building needs of the Salvation Army. And the money needed is big money to care for the big problems of our communities. The nickels, dimes, and quarters tossed into the familiar tambourines are not nearly enough to answer this emergency. For the tambourine has grown bigger than ever before. It's a $7 million tambourine. That's the amount needed to bring the Salvation Army's facilities up to the necessary capacity. To fill this $7 million tambourine, substantial gifts are needed from California's corporations, partnerships, foundations, and individuals. When the goal is reached, no other drive for statewide building or renovation funds will be conducted by the Salvation Army in California for the next 10 years. In addition to money for capital building, the Salvation Army has a great need for leadership. Many prominent business and civic leaders already have given their time, both to support the redevelopment fund and to further all the work of the Salvation Army with the benefits of their business experience. For the Army, skilled in meeting the problems of its communities, needs the skill of business leadership. And many corporations already have indicated that they will back this important plan with substantial contributions of leadership time as well as money in recognition of the long-term merit of the need. The Salvation Army Redevelopment Fund is most fortunate in being able to enlist the advice and active support of California's business, financial, and industrial leaders. Some are individuals with little or no previous background of Salvation Army volunteer activity. Others are those with many years of devoted and loyal service. The corporate officials who are the backbone of this 75th anniversary effort are representative of the economic, social welfare, civic, and cultural interests of Northern and Southern California. They are board chairmen, presidents, partners, executive officers, and directors of such widely varying enterprises as banking, investment, real estate, retailing, newspaper publishing, manufacturing, wholesaling, building materials, insurance, accountancy, law, petroleum, shipbuilding, hotels, construction. They are representative of the three major religious faiths and collectively provide the kind of leadership which the Salvation Army needs to conduct a successful campaign in California. You are a citizen on the long street where a great need exists. Is there a way you can help? By giving your own time and experience for leadership, perhaps. Certainly by contributing to this important fund. There is no more vital problem in need of your attention on the long and lengthening street. The Salvation Army needs your help now. It needs your corporate and your personal contribution, your leadership, your wholehearted support in terms of action. It needs to know it can count on you in this time of crisis, so that the long street need never look lonely or empty to the frightened person who can be restored to useful life by the army that must never cease marching for our common decency and the self-respect of our people.